Okay, so the next question is coats or outerwear for the body type. So as a rounded type, how can I dress for cold weather without coats that have bulky, chunky, or with overly straight tailored lines? Also, can a RTR, romantic or rounded type, make trench coats work since they are usually better on blended or sharp types? So yes, so it is definitely a struggle for, let's say, soft and mixed, or even for blended. Sometimes blended is actually quite a struggle to find even a trench coat, because you kind of might have to go as a blended type to, ironically, more lower price points for your trench coat, which might mean lower quality, which is also not that great for the blended type, because a lot of the time, and I've seen this recently a lot, is, you know, designers want to make a statement with the silhouette of the trench coat, and that's a big problem for a blended type, because a blended type needs the opposite of a statement silhouette. It needs, blended types need a very smooth and minimal silhouette, but every single trench coat out there, I feel like it has some kind of statement silhouette to it, which is really the opposite of the blended type, and really what they require in their silhouette. And the same for a rounded type too. A rounded type, it's really difficult to find something that has those short rounded lines, has a little bit of space for your curves, but at the same time is also not oversized or anything like that. So it is really difficult to find trench coats if you're basically not a sharpened type, a bevel type, or maybe even blended and sharpened. That would work, but all the other types, it can be quite difficult. Oh, and of course, if you are a mixed type, it can be easier, because you can get something that is really short and boxy, and that might look okay on you, and those tend to be available more readily than trench coats that have a more minimal silhouette, or otherwise are, very, very soft and things like that with waist emphasis. So anyway, but back to the question. So for a rounded type, and I actually had a client recently who was saying, she was a rounded type, and she was talking about just outfits in general, and sort of what to do, and I think she even did ask about outerwear. But my idea for all rounded types is that you have to remember that even your jacket is not the overall look, and it's all about the intention of the look and the overall intention that you're trying to achieve. So for you, if you're not opposed to it, I feel like the easiest and most practical thing is actually to go with a primarily, theatrical romantic, rounded type look. So very soft hair, glowy makeup, a tapered boots or something very dainty, a lot of, dainty jewelry. And then as a juxtaposition to that, add an oversized trench coat. So then it looks intentional. It looks like, oh, that's very interesting. And I've really liked the idea of sort of playing with this kind of very, sort of this edgy kind of one edgy item, one oversized or big item, with maybe just something very frilly and soft, and that kind of juxtaposition can be really interesting if it's done intentionally. So worst case scenario, if you can't find any trench coats that work for you as a rounded type, go for that juxtaposition in an intentional way, and have your little purse, and your tapered boots, and your rounded and sort of glamorous hair, and then have this sort of oversized trench coat over it, and that can look really luxurious too. That can look really interesting. So I really like that look on rounded types. So you can definitely try that. That's really, I wish I had some recommendations for you how you could actually find coats that would work for you. My recommendation is that it's just hard, and you're gonna have to go through a lot of coats to find something that's within your own lines, but that's a way to work with any sort of item, especially if it's a coat. It looks very luxurious if it's kind of oversized, and if it's done intentionally, that can look really sort of glamorous and really, really chic too. I really like that look. Okay, my daughter is warm and delicate, soft classic, which in concept is a wonderful combination, but not when you are a teenager into deathcore. She thinks it's really boring. How can we use this for clothes, makeup, etc. she will actually wear? Okay, so I looked up deathcore style, and it basically to me looks like, punk, grunge, things like that. It's basically to me in the same category. So for this, I would say that it's actually not that bad that she is a soft classic and warm and delicate, because I see that first of all. So I'm going to cover a lot of things here. The first thing is for colors that would look good on her, right? Out of the deathcore colors, which are basically red and black, we're lucky that we have red. So red can look good on anyone, and you just find her best red. And her best red, there are two best reds for warm and delicate. Of course, a warm bright red would work really well. Try to stay away from tomato red, because that's going to be something that's really, really bright, might be overpowering on her, but any kind of brick red, any kind of sort of slightly muted warm red is going to look really good on her. It's going to look good against her skin tone, and you can put that sort of near her face. And she can also do some warmer red lip color and things like that, so that would work. If she's high contrast, or even if she's not high contrast, I guess it's likely that she could even dye her hair dark, in which case she could dye her hair dark. And that brings me to the next point. So the next point is that with this kind of style, deathcore style, punk style, a lot of it is about looking very edgy, very harsh, right? So when someone, it's like asking, well, I'm warm and delicate, but I have a goth style. For goth style, we're really looking for the skin to even look a bit pale. We're looking for the black to look really harsh against pale skin and things like that. So it's not necessarily always a bad thing for her to wear, black, to sort of have it look a little bit harsh on her, because that's kind of the style. And if it's done intentionally, then that could actually look really, really good. So the next thing is the lines, right? So the lines for deathcore and things like that are all sort of maybe boxy, maybe oversized. So that might be a little bit more of a challenge, but I would say that it's always, remember that less is more. And you can even tell her that, for these kinds of styles, I kind of get a sense of the culture that you don't want to look like you are trying too hard, so for her as a soft classic, as a blended type, less is definitely more, and it could really turn into like, it looks like she could be trying too hard, more than, let's say, a mixed type. So the colors, I think they're not a problem, especially because she's young, so she probably doesn't have any wrinkles or anything like that. If she's really prioritizing her skin looking its best, then go for those reds and try to put it near the face, and then away from the face she could do black, right? Or any other color, but that kind of warm red would work well. And then we can just stop worrying about the colors, move on to the lines. So the lines, I would say, the smooth silhouette is really what is key here. And as a blended type, she is kind of lucky in that she can more easily borrow elements from all kinds of other types. So she could do something where there's a smooth silhouette and, just one or two accessories in that style is already going to be, and it doesn't matter really what their lines are because they are accessories, but her silhouette can be smooth. And if she stands and looks at her shadow, then the silhouette should be smooth. There shouldn't be anything sort of sticking out, or anything too baggy or anything like that. And then she can accessorize with all kinds of different items, and less is more. So you can think about that for her. So I hope that kind of gave you some ideas, and I hope you guys try it out too.